the United States is weakened from its previous state. This is not 1991. We do not have the enormous military power that we once had at that point. And the military power we have is still useful, but in many cases, it's not the right military power for today and the future because technology has changed. Capabilities have emerged that are new and different. And we're hurling the same old World War II force structure back into action. Only this time, we have practically no army at all. We're talking about 450,000 people in the active army. More recently, I read that 70% of the soldiers are supposedly overweight. That sort of thing was incomprehensible when I was on active duty. And their training is being widely questioned. And we have these very divisive policies pitting one racial group against another inside the force. All of these things work to our disadvantage in any confrontation that we have to be drawn into. The Navy has a lot of capability, but it too has difficulty manning its ships, has a huge morale problem. Nevertheless, we're going to bring together 2 carrier battle groups to build a task force. That includes some submarines as well, obviously, and at least 2,000 Marines floating out there in the Mediterranean. But in order for this to work and survive, they have to operate somewhere north and west of Sicily because the range of weapons that could be used to engage them is so great that they are at very high risk if they close the distance between Israel and themselves. So this is a very strange set of circumstances. Now, right now, American forces in the Middle East, in Syria, in Iraq, elsewhere are being attacked. We've had at least 24 wounded, 1 dead, maybe more. We just don't know, and no one's really telling us the truth. But in Syria, for instance, we have 1,000 soldiers sitting on top of Syria's only access to oil and its most useful agricultural area. Ostensibly, we say to harm Mr. Assad. Well, all of our attempts to harm Mr. Assad have failed. And right now, this puts us in a position where we could be attacked by the Turks because just a few days ago, or I think a couple of weeks ago now, we shot down a Turkish drone surveillance aircraft. Needless to say, that did not endear us to Mr. Erdogan and the Turks. And what is now happening is Mr. Erdogan has suddenly turned around after condemning Hamas and said Hamas is not a terrorist organization. They are mujahideen fighting for land that is theirs. Suddenly we've transformed Hamas into holy warriors. That's not a good sign. And I bring up Turkey because Turkey is the 500-pound gorilla in the region. It has the largest army, the largest air force. It has a substantial navy. There's a lot of capability, and the Turks are ferocious fighters. They're excellent soldiers, and they could mobilize 1 million men in a few weeks. They could probably put 2 million in the field as long as they can equip them. This is a new and different threat from anything that Israel has ever faced in the past. Now, on top of that, you have the Egyptians. They could be drawn into this because the more damage that is inflicted on the population in Gaza, the more pressure there is on General Sisi to intervene to protect them. If Egypt is drawn into this, the Turks will most certainly come in to support the Egyptians. They too are Sunni Muslims. It is very doubtful that Mr. Assad would essentially reject a Turkish request to move its forces through Syria towards Israel. Then there is Iran, and we have very dangerous people, in my judgment, on the Hill and in the United States and the media pushing for war with Iran. Iran has an enormous arsenal of missiles and rockets. They have missiles, accurate, precise missiles with large conventional warheads. Those missiles can absolutely shower multiple warheads on top of Israel and do more damage in 10 minutes in Haifa, in Tel Aviv, and other major Israeli urban centers than Israel has ever contemplated in the past. So now you have basically the 2 major powers in the region who historically have been opposed to each other, Iran and Turkey, aligning together against Israel. And we want to attack Iran. Well, if we attack Iran, Russia is not going to sit by and watch Iran be destroyed by us. It has strategic interests in Iran. By the way, so do the Chinese. It all revolves around oil and resources. The Chinese are not going to enter militarily, but they'll provide support as well, whatever they can, probably via Russia. And then if the Turks weigh in, as I fear they will, the Russians are going to look at that, and now they're going to have to decide, what do we do? They're not anti-Israeli per se, and never have been. Mr. Putin, if anything, has been very accommodating towards the Israelis, but the Israelis have supported the Ukrainian government and shipped not only weapons and equipment, but also Mossad advisors over there to wreak havoc wherever they can against the Russians. So the Russians may not want to enter it immediately, but given what we are planning to do, as I understand it, if we attack Iran, it's going to be hard for them to stay out. And then, of course, de facto, all the other Muslim Arab states, Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, probably North Africa, certainly Algeria, potentially Libya. And then, of course, distant Pakistan has already promised the Turks nuclear warheads if they need those to deter the Israelis from employing a nuclear weapon against Turkey. Well, what a wonderful picture. And we don't seem to have anyone in the United States making the effort to defuse anything. If anything, Mr. Blinken traveled all over the region and announced that he too is Jewish. And as a result, he's sympathetic to Israel. And as Secretary of State, he wants to do everything he can to moderate views and opinions, but unambiguously, we're with Israel. And so we're in the position of the blank check. And understand something. In 1914, as World War I was developing, Britain, who had no history of conflict whatsoever with Germany, Britain had no real reason strategically to involve itself on the continent. And until it did, the war between Germany, Russia, France, Austria-Hungary was just another European war. But when Britain entered it, it became a world war because Britain was a world power with global interests. Once we are in this thing, this regional war does have the potential to go global and spread. And that's the problem.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.